Greetings everyone, this is the game Won the Pacific Admiral's Edition, and this time it is Lodrik talking to you. I was asked from some members if it's possible to make my own video to show and explain the situation from my point of view, what is my tactics, my strategy, what is the difference between a Japanese player and an American player, and overall to entertain you. So what I is doing now is I got from Dojo this turn back, so it's for me possible now to create or check the battle phase for turn 16. I sent already the file back to Dojo. Here you can see 6th of January. This is his file and my file is this one. So I will load this now and then we can see from my point of view what happened at this 6th and 7th of January 1942. So let's start. A little noisy, so I better go a little. Loading. Okay, here we start. At the beginning, I think this is all very similar. What you always see is a calculation of moving of supplies, and here we can see the first action already. I moved here some smaller unit inside and Bijan conquer this because there's no one left. You need only one assault strength and you can conquer any not defended base. So that was easy going. Maybe I get the base already for free, because after some time normally if there's a force nearby it's already enough to conquer a not defended zone. So we have the night phase, but so far none of us ever really used the night for any aerial strikes, maybe transportation, but nothing else. So here we are at Port Mosby, and this is one of my cruisers supported by some destroyers, only doing some short bombardment to keep Dojo's forces busy and restless, destroy some supplies, destroy equipment if possible, and also intercept maybe any incoming cargo shipping. But this time there was no shipping, so I mean the damage is small, but we can see airbase supply hits 8, port supply hits 2, and the rest also. This all consumes supplies, and my goal is only keep them busy, hurt them here and there, dead of 1,000 cuts, so that if my units will sooner or later invade this base, they have a more easy task. So this was the night phase. Nothing really happened here. End of pulse. Now we get check fuel and this one. Okay, this is now the change to the day phase. Here we can still see 6th of January 1942, the early morning. Loading, unloading, mine sweeping, but not more many mines left. So here, this is near Port Princessa. There was a battle fleet unit from Hong Kong going down to Davao. Normally would make some shore bombardment, but they detect this torpedo boat fleet and the intercept. They think, because I always give them aggressive orders. If you see anyone, you hunt them down. You better risk something with the Japanese and try to get a victory. You only run away, like Dojo like to do this so much as a no-go for honorful Japanese warrior. So you can see this, I don't know, I think it's the American torpedo boats. They stay no chance against the mighty of a Japanese battle fleet. 2 battleships and 4 support destroyers. The destroyers always, normally the main task is anti-submarine. And also support the big ships. Like in many other games, also this game, they have more like heavy units and light units. Heavy cruiser, battle cruiser, battleships, carrier, they're all heavy units. And for any naval engagement, it's always the best to have at least 1 light unit attached to heavy units, so that they support each other. These are the rules. You can read it. If it's really true, you can run some tests. Who knows? So much luck in this game. So, but it's normal. I mean, support units are necessary. So I think this is a not so interesting fight because the Americans they go down or they run away. What else they do? I never see something else. They go down or they run away. They're Americans. Okay. Okay, now we start 6th of January, Air Force. And this means more or less scouting, and if not scouting, bombardment in China. I use a lot of squadrons to scout, to check the strength of enemy base or army units, and I also sweep a lot. Here you can see it's always a bunch of zeros going in Xingchao, but nothing left. All these Russian, Chinese fighters already a burning wreck. So this is my elite pilot. He always liked to fly alone. Don't ask me why, but he always liked to fly alone. Nothing. This is a bombardment from some lost British Malayan unit. They escaped in the jungles, and I don't have the time normally to send my forces in the jungle to hunt them down. So I let Air Force do this for them. My task is still capture Singapore as fast as possible without too big losses. So here we can see 23 bombers, 2 gets damage. We normally not really hurt them, but it's also training. It's hard, it's jungle. Remember, American Air Force and Vietnam was also not the most successful story. Yeah, and a lot of bombardment. 7. 8. But the main purpose of this kind of strikes are to pin down the enemy forces. Not really to destroy them, but to reduce their speed. And to make sure that they normally not recover their morale or fatigue, that they always under constantly pressure, that they don't have time to relax and regroup and use supply to re-equip. Maybe I will lose some planes with this, but like this was a successful strike because this is open field area, so there's no forest, nothing. So my bombers can And also the weather maybe was heavy clouded but not raining, so I mean 126 are damaged or dead. It's okay for me. I like this. And even if I hit nearly nothing, my pilots get still experience. And Dojo, like I said before, he plays this game so safe that he barely use nothing to stop this bomber campaign. So, and the first phase of the Chinese war is nearly over. I am in the situation to create 2 bigger pockets now, and hopefully at least can destroy most of the units inside these pockets, so that the rest of the Chinese defense forces are not so strong. We will see if we can break them, but we will try. Again, more Chinese soldiers lay down their weapons. And again, and again, and again. This time we hit nothing, but it's again, the purpose is more or less slow them down. So long they're working much slower than me, I can decide if I want the battle or if I retreat, and I can focus my armies, and this is the advantage. It's called in German Schwerpunkttaktik. So, again, 49. But not really interesting because it's bombardment. And I think 90% of the Chinese Air Force is already destroyed. Or maybe you have a lot of airplanes still in training, I don't know, because the Chinese pilots, they start with very low values and the skill points, and the Russian airplanes they use are also normally no match. And again, 33 are dead. Oh, and here we can see my prototype Dojo K44. This is not the real finished Dojos. This is a pre-production sample with they're a little slower, the engine is not up to date, or the efficiency is still not enough, and also the armament is not the final setup, so they're fighting more or less like K43 1C, the newest sample of this K43 unit. But this is a K44. The final edition is faster and have much more firepower. Their main purpose is maybe still hunting B-17 bombers. But we will see. So far, Dojo don't use any bomber forces against me. And so they have nothing else to do than fight this P-40 Chinese American fighters in the sky of Changsha. And yeah, they hit me, but so far the Dojos, they are compared to the earlier airframes, so more tough. They will not go immediately down. They are more like American airplanes. You can hit them and they still fly back. And their firepower is normally enough to destroy, like we see here now, any P-40. The best of this P-40 flying tigers are maybe the pilots, because these pilots have maybe equal skill levels like my Dojos. So it's an equal battle. I will not say that the P-40 is no useful. And these Dojos are still only prototypes, so they are very equal. But my guys maybe have still better training and they have more experience, because my fighters fly from day one, day by day, day by day, day by day. I don't know what Dojo's Flying Tigers was doing all the days. I don't know. I only know I shut them down. At least 2. And also, if you just watch the combat animation, I think there was 3 or even 4 shut down. Here we see only 2. So it's fog of war. Roughly you can say what you can see in the combat animation is closer, more close to the reality than the combat summary. The combat summary is more fog of war variations. So I mean, at least we shut down 2, but we saw 3 or 4 going down. Still, these are only the airframes. This means not that the pilot must be dead. Especially because we fight in the skies of Changsha, so this is his territory. If the pilot climb out of the airplane, he can be wounded, or he's still fine, and then he go back to the base, and next day he say, oh thanks, give me a new airframe, I go up again. We will see. But I also know his airframes are limited, so he can have all pilots back if we have no airframes. The sky of China are ruled by Japanese airplanes. Okay, anyway, bombing and more. Bombers. And again. And again. Nothing stops us. And also we not only bombard, we also making always recon and scout missions, so we always know more or less what is left. It will have no impact for this combat summary, but it will give us more or less at the end of the turn or the beginning of the next turn always information what is left of the enemy units. And out of this information I can make a decision if I say where I concentrate my bomber forces, or if I only send like this. This is the minimum unit, more or less. I only send the minimum out to pin down this unit, to slow them down. Many units I only, here again, only 9 airplanes. And this is a Key 51. They have only very small bombs, I think. Only 50 gram. Yeah, 50 kilogram, but one plane carry 4 of them, so it's still 200 kilogram bomb load per plane. But they also can make pictures. So they bombard, and after they bombard they make a picture, and then you will get some very accurate information what is your back on the ground. So they have not the punching power, but they are useful. I still don't produce this plane more. What is left I will use, but they are all old one engine Stuka designs. They are slow. If they're easy to shut down by any enemy fighters, and they always catch fire immediately. So it's the old generation of bombers. I try to get rid of them as soon as possible. So afternoon attack of 6th of January, and again some scouting, but yeah. Here again similar to Malaysia, this is now Borneo, and some of the British Dutch forces escaped to the jungles, and I say keep your forces at the coastline and the base, because the base is only important. Here's the oil. The jungle is nothing. My airplanes can do this. They fix this. They bomb them to hell. So you can see bombing. And here you can see the Betty bomber, they carry 250 kilogram plus for 60 kilogram. And scouting, and scouting. Maybe you can hear it, you always hear this camera sound, means always a picture here. And picture, and picture. This is the difference between only fly by and the pilot, the observer looking down and write down information, or if the airplane have an accurate camera installed and can make a picture of the situation. This will give you much reliable and I think increased reliable information about the situation, but always still based on how I think, how is the weather just now, if you make the picture or the recon, and of course only once fly, it's better to continuously scout something to make sure what is there. So this was some mini invasion fleet, only some small beaches, there's nothing normally left. But it's better if the Japanese flag is flying all over Asia, there's nothing left. So Air Force or air battles are over, now we're coming to the last point. These are the ground attack. And here we can see north of Singapore, there's some British Malayan army forces left completely surrounded, no supplies, no morale. Also I bombed them long enough, and now I had enough forces in the hex that I can say, okay, let's start a battle. Last turn I still make some bombardment attack to get intel information about what is here left, how strong they are, and then I saw they're already very, very low on fighting morale and fighting punch power. So I say now, let's finish this, strike them down, let no one escape. And let no one escape means more or less that this British Malayan forces surrender. Not all of them looks like, there's still some forces back. We can see here delivery attack. The shock attack is, I still don't like it so much. I think you will save supplies. If you, in the situation that you have less supplies and you think you are stronger than the enemy, then you can make a shock attack. But if you have the supplies, even if you're stronger, I would always say delivery attack, because this means more or less you first let your artillery punch the enemy and you go and strike with order. You risk less, and if you win and you still win, it's, well, maybe, but this is personal opinion maybe. Anyway, we can see out of 313 we're changing to 133 and 7, means we outclass them totally. And this information here are also not really reliable, because this is a summary of all units are here. One of these units maybe have low morale and is a little fatigue, but even, I know this is a defender, this is a British, yeah, then this makes sense. But still, I think this is always only if only one unit have this problem, then it's show up here. So I don't trust it so much. Anyway, we can see 20 of our Japanese guys get hurt and sick, because I'm not only sure if they really fight or if the British just throw away their weapons. You can see this is a totally defeat. 6 units completely destroyed, nearly 2,000 give up, and this is the end. Here, north of Kukong, we have a second small engagement with some Chinese support force. I think original Dojo tried to get them here in the city to help in the defense, but my forces was too quick at the end. I captured the city just the moment he arrived at the gate the gates, and I kicked out everyone, but the forces inside the city, they flee to the east, and his support unit was here now in the north, and he was not strong enough maybe to attack me. I was also not sure what I can do, so I say, okay, my main force go east and finish this unit, and I only send a smaller detachment north to keep him busy. After we kick him out of the city, we had a second battle here east, also successful, so his unit retreated to this city and now try to patch up. And at the meantime I say, okay, these units are now all in the city and they have no fighting value more, so I can finish him now, but I must do this. I can also swing back, destroy this unit and rush to north, because so far he still gets supply from this main highway, and here's a smaller street, so it's better to cut them down. Means if I can bring my units here in the north and conquer this hex, then it's only this mini city or street left, and if I then I must choose what is here. I will make some recon flights, see if it's possible to cross immediately the river, and if not, maybe I will turn east, but this we will see in the future. Anyway, here we can see again 33 against 1, so means 738 fighting power against 22, so 133 disabled unit, so they can recover easy, and 1700 for him dead, or they're all running back again. And you can see destroyed. So destroyed means it needs a long time in supplies and rest. Time, supplies, rest to recover this strength, and you normally don't have. If you don't go back immediately and keeps them here in the second line, then he maybe can recover, but if he walks so slow again, then I catch up again. And here the third battle. In the source we create a pocket, and this is the northern pocket striking force. You can see we took Nanyang before. This means this road is now closed for him. Nothing can come to. These are his main battle forces. Here are roughly 200,000 Chinese soldiers. And they get normally their supply from this main street. Okay. This main street is now completely blocked. Now we have only this smaller road. My goal is, the minimum goal is to block this street, that he's running completely out of the supply, because 200,000 guys need a lot of supply, or they start to suffer soon. Or maybe, depending on the situation, if these forces are strong enough and his defense is so weak, we maybe can do immediately strike on Xi'an. And if we capture Xi'an, then these forces have really trouble. Because, I mean, you can see, if this is blocked, there's no way to get any supplies to him. Maybe, if he risks everything, take all his forces and takes them to Nanyang and try to conquer them, and then he maybe can try to escape with all his forces here to the mountains, I think this need a month or 2 months, I don't know. This Dojo. And we all know how Dojo like to play safe and slow. But of course, this is his style. The Japanese must strike. The Japanese must be aggressive. A Japanese player cannot wait and think too much. Yes, a Japanese player must scout. He must know how strong is the enemy. But the time is my enemy. The Japanese must win quickly, successful many battles. The ally player can wait. Every day the Allied player gets stronger. The Japanese start strong, but after 1 year roughly, I think the forces, the power balance is equal, and latest after 2 years, the Americans getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So anyway, here we can see again 700 Japanese, and you can see most of them are only hurt, disabled. Give them 1-2 days rest time, give them supplies, and they're back online. The Allied Chinese forces, again, you can see 2/3 are more or less destroyed and 1/3 is disabled. So, and they're all running again. And now, and this is the first time I can remember, Dojo launched a strike. You can see here, it's an Allied delivery attack on Clark Field. So it means for some reason, whatever happened, Dojo had the feeling that his Philippines American units are strong enough to fight against the might of the Japanese armies. I don't know what he was thinking, but we got this battle, and let's see how these end now. We can see the attacking forces are the Americans. They have 22,000. The glorious Japanese forces have roughly 10,000 more. The guns are equal. Also, the vehicles are equal. But you can see the attack value is 800 to roughly 1,000. So now keep in mind, if you want strike, you normally roughly must have triple the attack value of the defender. And this is only roughly. Now we can see his 788 changed to 400 because he's maybe low on supply, he have low morale, some units don't want fight, they cannot fight, I don't know exactly, but you can see he's dropping. And now you can see the Japanese. His nearly 1,000 gets tripled and even more than tripled. Because we have jungle terrain and mountains, and I have fort level for some of the units, and so you can see 400 against 3,000 is the attack at the end. And the end of the story is more like this. 335 Japanese against 2,250 Allied. And you must keep in mind that these are all disabled. So, yeah, we lost maybe some tanks, but I mean, this is nearly nothing. And for him, it's destroyed, destroyed, destroyed. 20 guns destroyed, 70 tanks destroyed, or vehicles. One unit completely wiped out. This was not a successful attack, I would say. Okay. And this will be more or less the end of the 6th January 1942. Airbase, fortress, port, increase. You can see this here also. Moving oil, moving resources, blah 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 blah. And here's some American units, not sure where they come from or if you walk to the east, but there was an American unit try to capture for some base, I don't know, some village in the forest. Who cares? So, night phase, naval adjustment, night air force, nothing happened. No one fight in the night. I think everyone understands that you better sleep at night and fight at daytime. At least if you don't have a radar. With radar, this may all change. So this is now my battle fleet. The original, the plan was, or the command was, go down, strike here, bombard this city. And somehow it was around here, and then they get some information from some scout plane, but they also have some scout planes, who knows who scout first. But here in Porto Princesa, they get the intel that there are some torpedo boats, so they choose, say, hey, let's go strike them. We sunk 4 of them, and then they say, okay, this is enough, let's go finish our main task. Now they're here and doing some bombardment to, again, like in Port Mosby, keep enemies busy, reduce their infrastructure, destroy some supplies, and maybe hurt them a little. There's not much maybe to destroy, so it's maybe not the most useful stuff, but yeah. Here, Port Moresby, again, the cruisers, bombardment. This is the second cruiser force. So I only sent 1 cruiser force, no, I sent 2 cruiser force down to keep him busy. Now we can see we damaged 2 airplanes. This is a little stronger force, but not some really big stuff. And again, we hit a little here, hit a little there, a little supplies here, and yeah. So now it's daytime. It's January 7th. Let's see if something happened. Oh! This is source of Saigon. I saw this unit already last time. These are torpedo boats from Macau. We captured some turns ago Macau, and I think they kicked out. But I think they never had enough fuel, or Dojo will send them out before already. So now they coming down this way without fuel means that the engine is hurt. The game simulate like this, that say if you don't have fuel you can still go 1 hex per turn, but it will also hurt your system damage, or you get system damage if you do this, running your ships without fuel. So this is a slaughter, you can say. There's normally really only slaughter, because these guys they're running with the lowest possible speed, and you can see they're all down. I think they not even can shoot back, because remember, everything needs supplies, and maybe there was also no supplies in Macau left. So here we can now some scouting. Now they report us 4 ships left, and I think there are still some submarines. I still have submarine hunters everywhere. We catch 2, 3, 4 Dutch submarines. We never sunk them maybe, but we sent them back to Java in the docks. We hurt them. Maybe we sunk them. It's fog of war, so you can never be really trusted. And again, oh yeah, disable, keep them busy. Here are some naval bombers coming to finish this torpedo boats, but I think this is if you hit a torpedo boat with a naval bomber out of 8,000 feet, it's a lucky hit. And here's nothing. Now our always ongoing bomber campaign against Chinese forces in south and east and north of China. Bombardment, and more bombardment. And nothing to stop me. what we can say. Here we see one of the flying tigers, the guys we just battled last turn, and somehow one was in time here. You can see he come from Changcha. We fly 1 to 3 hex source and intercept my Sonya Key 51 Stukas. And Stukas and fighters don't like each other. I mean, of course, the fighters love the Stukas. And now we can see there was a second, I think. But anyway, it's over. And my guys can still finish the job. Yeah. Dojo catch some Japanese bombers. Not so bad. But they're Key 51s. Recon, scouting, recon, scouting. My zeros still try to find enemy fighters. My naval bombers coming back and say, we failed the first time, let's try it again. But there is nothing. The other naval bomber force say this is a G3M2, so there's an else. They choose to strike this small army forces in the jungle, but they also hit nothing. But they get experience, so okay. Some bigger air forces with zeros to cover them, but no Chinese fighter, so nothing to battle, only to bomb. Bit more, you can see sometimes we hit, sometimes we fail. But I would say, if you are a Chinese or Japanese player and you fight in China, I would always say use your air force, everything what you have every day, but keep in mind that maybe, like Dojo just now did, you can use some flying tigers and maybe something else to intercept your bombers. So at least you must have your fighters in standby and always also use them and check around, scout around where enemy fighters can be, so that you not lose a lot of your bombers. That you maybe at least you catch him, he catch you, and at the end you make shut you down 1 by 1 or 1 to 1, and you still, I mean, the Chinese Air Force is very limited, so maybe one kill ratio 1 to 1 is maybe not the best, but it's still acceptable for a Japanese player, because you will know that he have maybe 100 fighters. If you get rid of this 100 fighters, then there's not much left. But of course, every unit can be only at one place at one time per time, so you must choose where you keep your units, where you bomb first. I normally try to bomb what is nearby. I don't bomb too far in his back lane. I want to strike and hurt what my army forces can catch and destroy, because it's still the cooperation. The Air Force slow down and keep the enemies busy. The army forces must catch up and destroy them. It's not the job of the Air Force to destroy something. That is the job of the army. So you must think about this. Cooperation of the different armed forces. And this is now the rest of this the lane British units. This is the air headquarters. I don't know why he don't retreat faster. I don't know. Maybe I was too fast, he was too slow. Who knows? I only know they give up. There's nothing left. Surrender, 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 surrender. They all lay down the weapons, and you can see there's really nothing left. So there was nothing. 5 to 300 and adjusted 180 to 1. And again, one engineer, maybe he fall down from the truck. I don't know what happened here. I only know that 5 units are destroyed and the rest of his armies are all completely... You can see there's no disabled more, they were only destroyed, so they're completely wiped out. And this means more or less that the street to Singapore is open. And soon we can finish this operation. And also you can see here now, this is a Malaya, not Malaya, Clark Field. Now it's an Allied bombardment attack, and this is happened automatically because Dojo say make a delivery attack at the beginning, but his attack was a failure because the game say more or less if you don't have at least 1-to-1 assault strength, then your attack failed. And I think we had I don't know, what was this, 300 to 3000. So his first attack failed, but we have now a second day, so he automatically switched to bombardment attack. This is a feature to make sure that you will not force your armored, your own units to get destroyed completely. I mean, the first attack was a failure. Then the general or whatever, the commander understand, okay, this will not work. Let's switch only to bombardment, only use our guns and try to strike against the Japanese. And the result is that we lost a little more. I mean, he get 1 destroyed, we get 3 disabled. This is maybe equal at the end. So this the explanation why it's changed to a bombardment attack. Now removing some oil and resources, and nothing more happened? Maybe? Looks like you. Okay, this was the battle phase. We are now at January 8, 1942. And by the way, this is my birthday. I mean, I'm not born in 42, but in January 8. So I can roughly show you what is intel information, because I think this is always interesting. You saw now all the battle reports, but this is a summary out of this. And if we see here the intel, then we can see roughly 4,500 to 7,500. So means sorties means my air force is much more active. You can also see the total number is much higher, but the air-to-air losses are 3 to 3, and nothing destroyed on field, nothing destroyed by flag, and the operation loses 1 to 2. So it's a, I mean, from point of air force or it's a very inactive. I mean, it was action, but at the end the results are going to 0, because I mean, what is 2 is 3? This is nothing. This is nothing. Here we can see the points. This is now my point of view. I don't know what Dojo can see. So I think this is never with fog of war. So far I know in my test runs before, these are always true numbers. There's no fog of war, but this is fog of war. Anyway, these are the numbers, and you can still see that he control more bases with much higher value. Yeah, so I mean, this is still a long way to go. But we can see that my air forces, we lost 300 points, he lost 500 points, so we were successful, I think. I think this is successful. Especially if we see the army counter, 30 to 2,500. These are numbers. And also we see the numbers and also the points. You can see over 10 times the points sunk. 1,500 points nearly sunk, and I lost 125. 14 ships for me, 233 for him. Yeah. The Manchukuo garrison, this is some Japanese, how do you call this, special law. You must keep at least the attack value of 8,000 points in Manchukuo in Korea, or if you don't keep this at least at 8,000, then there's a possibility that the Soviets, the Russians, gets active and will strike against Japan. So keep this over 8,000, but of course keep it close to 8,000, and the Soviets will never strike you. My political points, I keep them most of the time. I change some leaders, but not much more. Then we can see our scores, 7,789 to 9,500. So we're coming close, but not today. Then we can check this again shortly. Then we can see this from today. Then we can see these are the 3 guys I lost. This was the Soyuz. He lost 3 flying tigers. One of my Dojos was damaged and broke down in the moment want to land. Pity. And one of my nail bombers get, I don't know, flak, whatever, or system damage. We can also see here one of his Kingfisher, I think this is a scout plane, gets destroyed, but nothing else, so we can see this is not really much. And if we see the total number, roughly, only that you can see this, buffaloes 63. These are also buffaloes, I think, but other export buffaloes 60, P40. This is the E edition, and here you can see the other number. So the biggest blow was this Nell bombers. There was in the second turn, I think, there was some. I think I make something wrong and I let them fly the wrong target, and there was some fighters and they get intercepted, and I lost. You can see here 24 by air to air. Normally I try to keep this lower. This flak you can do nothing. Ops losses are also often flak or air to air, but pity can happen. And here's our fighters, but you can see here this 43 zeros gets destroyed in total, but only 26 really shut down. 17 they only crashed at the landing. It was damaged, yeah, but the pilots come back, so not so best. Wildebeest, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of other stuff. You can check this all if you want. There's a long list, but maybe else interesting is that maybe my top pilots, maybe some people like to see this. You can see, oops, no. So I have some aces. I think you must have at least 5 kills to be an ace. So I have 3 aces already, but I sent them back to a Trapcom. It's like a elite training school. If you have at least 10 pilots with at least experience of 80 and send them to the training school, they will more or less boost the new pilots. They can faster finish their training school, and pilots at school consume supplies, so more or less you save supplies. They will not get better skills, but they faster finish their school. They are faster available to fight for you, and this save supplies. And Japanese must always keep this in mind. For American allies player, it doesn't matter. You have nearly unlimited supplies. You must only move the supplies. The Japanese, they have the handicap. They not only must move it, they also must produce it. Okay, so and here we can see again. We lost at the end 4 pilots, 2 killed and 2 are missing. The missing can come back after some amount of time, but not very often. But you can see this 127 killed in total, 19 wounded. I think because this was more the wounded. This is a question of time. Normally they come all back, I think, but depending of 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. The mission in action, some come back, but not many. You can keep them. You can count them like lost pilot, but maybe some come back, but 10% I think only, not more than 20. Good. And yeah, if you want to see some ship stuff, I can show you. This is all what I lost so far. This is all dates Japanese lost by points. Then you can see there was some unlucky situation at the first turn or second turn that 2 of my better transporters gets hit by a 155mm or 180mm gun and catch fire and then they burn down. It's invasion. Yeah, can happen. This was a good cargo ship. This was, I think, near Saigon. He sunk by nearby Saigon, but the bomb, I think, was from Kotabaru. Not so sure. And but the only real stuff was military loose. Is this destroyer? This was a super lucky hit from him. There was a British destroyer, Group 2 destroyers, and they're running only away, and they throw their torpedoes in the ocean, and somehow one of these damn torpedoes hit my nice, good elite destroyer. That's a really good destroyer. This is a really, you can see, this is a Mark 9 torpedo. I don't know, this was so unlucky. And the other military stuff is this shitty submarines, but they have really no use at all. I try so many stuff. These are this mini submarines. They can only attack a port, but the chance that they are successful to attack a port is 10%, maximum 20%. And I don't produce these guys. They only cost, they have 3 points maybe only, but they are one-way use. They have one-way use, and if they have only 10% success chance, then what I want with this? I have no supplies for this kind of crappy stuff, so I don't go for this. Maybe others. Yeah, so I think this is the situation over here. And I can do a second video maybe later about the strategy, about the situation now on the map. But I will stop here now first and only show you maybe roughly the tracker information. And you maybe know this already. Here you can see this is a tool, collect information out of the game that you can more easily compare stuff, track stuff, and don't must check every sub menu in this game, because one stuff this game really cannot do is let you know stuff easy. It's show you everything, but you must know where it is. And here you can roughly see this is from turn 33. We get information that ships are repaired, we get information that some ships are in the shipyard and starting to upgrade, or ship repair is completed, and we can see here what is all sunk this turn. And we get the intel information that the Hermes sunk last turn. We hit with 2 torpedoes. And the Indianapolis. I think the Indianapolis I hit very early already in the game, but I never got the information that it sunk. And somehow now I get the information this cruiser go down. So, but this information are always still fog of war. So I don't trust them completely, but this information are the most trustful information you can get. To keep it simple. These are the most trustful information. Then you can see a lot of other stuff. I can show you maybe next time again. Here's much more. You can compare stuff. You can see leaders. You can see the resource situation, industry situation. There's a lot of stuff you can see. But maybe this is most important first to see it roughly. From turn 1 we start with a victory point ratio 8 to 1, means Dojo had 8 points more than us, and now we coming closer to 1 to 1. So let's take the rest of the Philippines, let's take Singapore, and then I think we have a 1 to 1. But we'll see. Anyway, this was Lodrik. This was the first video, and I hope you like it, and let me know if you want to see more. Thank you all. See you again. Take care. Bye bye.